Now I'd like to teach you a technique that I use quite a bit in my personal life and my practice. It's called screening. And screening is simply imagining seeing a screen in front of you. Whether you imagine seeing an iPad screen, a computer screen, or movie screen, or even if you imagine seeing a flat screen, television, or looking into a mirror. Whatever screen you choose is really up to you and even how you're feeling in the moment or what you're focusing on. So the art of screening is a very modern approach to using that psychic function of ours, that part of us, that intuitive part of us that sees into our world and gets a sense of things on an imaginal level, on a symbolic or dynamic level, that while feeds into our conscious understanding of a moment or our conscious understanding of an experience, it usually does so on a subliminal level or a level beyond our conscious awareness. For instance, we could be affected by taking a class simply by having memories contextually cued as we go into a learning environment. So our experiences are easily affected by that part of us that remembers past experiences or gets a certain feeling for an environment or experience, or a certain image arises. And that is really informative. And so in this screening technique, we take that natural ability that we all share and put it to good use. So a screen is simply put up in front of you. You can imagine it now. And imagine just putting up a simple screen, whether it's a movie screen and you're sitting in the audience, or you're looking at a computer screen, or you just have a nice Minority Report-like screen in front of you. And I want you to focus on something that you would like to screen, something that you would like to look into. For this exercise, why don't we simply choose an easy one? Choose yourself. What I'd like you to do is simply imagine yourself on that screen as a center of your focus for this exercise. So now when I ask you to do that, some of you might look at the screen and see nothing. It may be challenging for you to imagine seeing yourself as you are right now on that screen, represented as some symbolic presentation, right? In other words, what do you see on the screen if you imagine seeing yourself as you are right now? If you were to look at that screen, like if I were to ask you to put on that screen, give me a screen your car and see your car on the screen. Notice how it appears. Is it distant, close up? Are you looking at it from the front end to the right and the back end to the left? Are you looking head on? Are you looking at it from the rear? Notice what automatically pops up. You never know, but all these little bits of information can become insight beyond just the obvious. So now you can imagine wiping the screen with your hand and it erases, kind of like the old Etch-a-Sketch, And you clear the screen and again, bring an image of you onto the screen now. Imagine yourself on the screen in some sort of form. Maybe it's a cartoonish-like form. Imagine seeing your face, your body, your posture, If you were to imagine seeing something. Now, if you can't see anything, don't even try to see anything. And you can just relax your mind. And instead, just imagine if you were to see something on that screen without seeing anything on it. If you were to imagine seeing on that screen how you appear right now, what would you imagine that you'd see? And just go with that. It should be that simple, that effortless. And as you see yourself on the screen, maybe it's hazy, more than likely, huh? And maybe you can't really see it with your inner eyes, but you get a sense of it if you were to imagine seeing it. Are you standing nice and tall and strong, shoulders up, head and face lifted toward the sky and looking like Superwoman, Superman? Or would you imagine instead that you see on the screen yourself kind of slunched or slumped? Just notice what you see. Would you imagine that you're looking at yourself on the screen facing directly towards you or away from you or to the side? And notice the energy, the spirit of your presence on the screen. If you were to imagine that person on the screen now as a character in a movie maybe, what would you imagine? How would you imagine telling others what that is? If you were the director and trying to convey an insight to the actor playing this part of you, this you, how would you describe what you're seeing on the screen? On what levels? Their motivation, their posture, their energy, their emotional state, what they're thinking about, how their body moves, how they're dressed. Just let your imagination play for a while without any need to attach it to reality. Just let it be its own reality and play. Imagine yourself on the screen, and could you imagine yourself moving around? Are you imagining yourself in a repeated loop? Or are you just kind of there, arms to the side, looking blankly out? Notice any activities you might be doing on the screen. Again, tuning into any thoughts you might be thinking. Just listen and imagine hearing words. Imagining hearing what they might be saying as they're doing this on the screen. And dropping down into the heart, get a sense from a heart level, from a very experiential, soulful level now, what it's like to be in the presence of that person on the screen. Be a mirror for them and reflect back to them what you're experiencing through your whole being now. Imagine you're right there with them. Tune into your own experience now and feel what that's like to be in that state, just like they are on the screen. Nothing to know, just to experience maybe where the energy flows in your body, where it's strongest, where it's weakest. Your heart rate, your breath, your tension level, your breath. And just be aware of the experience, the sensation of being tuned into this now. Nothing to know or understand, just to experience. And now, smiling into your own body, into your own experience in this moment, I want you to imagine the heavens bathing down over you and bringing you into harmony. Just like a cartoon, a video game, the entire universe now bathing over you. And just turn it 1,000 times more intense than that, and just really enjoy it like you're in the most luxurious waterfall of light. It's amazing. Breathe it in and let it flush out of you down deep into the earth, fractaling down into the earth, all that you're ready to let go of, all the discomfort, the dis-ease, the heaviness, the darkness, any static, any noise, till it washes you clean, clear, and bright, leaving you just this glowing presence of your higher nature, your conscious nature, and your lower nature, all in this one moment, with the heavens bathing over you, informing you, enlightening you, like being in the apple core of light, flowing up from the earth through the fractaling roots of light, lifting, exalting, recalibrating, releasing, redeeming, like flushing up through you like the tree of life, branching out into the heavens, merging with the heavens above, lifting, exalting, as the heavens spiraling down, root and ground, and inform you with the wisdom of the entire universe. The energy from Mother Earth fractals up through you, through the roots of light, up through the core of your being, branching out, rising, lifting you, enlightening you with the wisdom of Mother Earth, and harmony with the heavens, flowing down. And the two energies spiraling through the center of your being, one ascending and lifting and exalting and informing you with the wisdom of being here on this planet at this time in history, at the time of your life, of Earth's history, informing you, enlightening you on just how to make it into this world in a good way, to be conscious, present, empowered, enlightened, lifting, exalting, and animating you, while the heavens spiral down through the core of your being. It's almost like a barber pole of light, one spiral flowing up and one spiral flowing down from the heavens, one funneling up and one funneling down. And right there in the middle where the heart is a center where the two come into harmony, in the lower belly, like a swirling cosmos of light, swirling infinitely into the inner universe within, around that central column of ascending and descending light from the heavens, from the earth, harmonizing around the center of your balance in the belly, in the chest, swirling cosmos, Dantian, and in the third eye. 3 swirling cosmos, swirling one over the other, creating a column of light, true to your nature, your higher self, your lower self, your conscious self, all in harmony. All in harmony with heaven and earth, flowing into, through you, expanding out through you, enlightening the environment all around you, the house, the home, the neighborhood, the city, the state, the world. And feel yourself now in that place of Wu Qi, of stillness, of just beingness, the center of the universe in harmony and awareness. Good. And now looking back at that screen before you and seeing the way you appeared on the screen then, and imagining it transforming into the place you're in now, with the light bathing from you onto the screen, the energy flowing down from the heavens and up from the earth through the screen and releasing that old image, like fairy godmother, releasing them out of that state into whatever state is a higher state of being now, where you feel yourself to be now. Notice the change. And just witness, experience what happens on the screen now. Imagine it, looking at it like looking at a sacred mirror. Open it bigger so you can see your whole being now. It's a being of light, your higher self present as a glowing being of light, connected in harmony with heaven and earth, releasing all negativity, weakness, just for now. Feeling it in your body resonating. And between what you see on the mirror in front of you and the screen in front of you and what you experience within, the two resonate and recalibrate. Breathe it in and breathe it out. The two become one in this moment. What has been seen on the screen has been transformed. Harmonized. Released. And now as you see this image on the screen in its transformed version, you can add things onto the screen. Anything you want, just like a dashboard. You could put a little meter on it. The meter could swing left to right. And you could ask the meter to tell you to be an indication of your energy level right now. So if you imagine the little needle on that meter on that screen, notice what it goes to. Maybe you set it from 0 to 10 or 0 to 100. Notice where the needle goes. Now you can even imagine interfacing with that screen. You can imagine pulling with your fingers the needle all the way down to 100% energized and balanced. And feel it, maybe even tie it down to 100, with a little zip tie. And then feel it, see your body on the screen, your image on the screen, zip up to 100% energy. And then see it, feel it, experience it in your own body now. Playfully imagining all the way up to 100% energy now. And allowing your eyes to see it, your basic self to see it, all of you to experience what it looks like to see yourself in harmony with heaven and earth, empowered, connected with your purpose. So the screen is very interactive. Now you can wipe that image clean when you're ready. And there are many other things that you can do with this. I look at it for clients quite often to see different dynamics and relationships that they're having. So I'll put maybe my client on the left side, and I'll see how they look on the screen and sit with it for a few minutes. Just soak it in like you just did for yourself. And then I'll invite on the right side of the screen the person that they're dealing with. It could even be a situation in some symbolic form. And then I watch how they appear and how they behave on the screen, how they present emotionally, energetically, physically, mentally. And then once I've tuned into them, I feel, from the heart, I feel a good connection. I'll go then look at the whole screen and watch the relationship between my client on the left and the other person on the right. And I'll watch how they change or how they dance together. And I'll simply let it play out. Just watching how it unfolds without any preconception. Just playing. Allowing the imagination to reveal itself on the screen. Anything you want to see. And of course, you can again imagine bringing yourself back into harmony in that apple core of light connected with heaven and earth, recalibrated back into your true nature, the three swirling cosmos, truing you, bringing you back to your truth, aware, conscious, balanced, harmonious. And then you could bring what's on the screen, the dynamic of you, your client on the left, and who they're focusing on the right, and the third, the relationship. You can bring them all to their highest functionality, recalibrate them, release them, by allowing the heavens to do the job, to do what is needed, what is appropriate for where they're at in their life, what is harmonious, and what is your permission, your purpose. And I always say, just as a safeguard when I'm working with someone and I'm hoping to help release or transform something in them, especially when using the screening technique, I'll simply say, if it's in their highest and best interest, allow it to be so now. And that assures that whatever happens on the screen, which certainly happens in the world around you, is going to be done so for the highest and best of the person, not just because I think it's needed. So screening can be used for many different things. You can put up many different screens. When I'm working with clients, I'll very often have one screen up that's showing me their energy body, another screen up that's showing me their physical body, another screen up that's showing me maybe their emotional body, or maybe a screen up showing me them when they were 5 years old. Or maybe another screen could be them in a relationship with an important person in their life. And quite often I'll keep all the screens up, and they're allowed to just inform me without necessarily distracting me, so that I can focus back on my client and what they're going through, but also open up the windows of perception to my intuition. You see, these activities are really about augmenting that natural and native intelligence we all have, which is, we call the imagination, intuition. By giving form to that, by giving process to that, we empower that part of our nature that is already doing its work. We're simply giving it a way to do its work in a very, very powerful way. So screening is a great example of just how that works. And it's simple. And it should always be done effortlessly without desire. Desire, as we know, is a fire that can burn too bright. So we simply need to just, when I work with the clients, I have this sense of effortlessness that I say, it doesn't matter if I see it or not, but if I were to see something, what would I see now? Or what would I imagine seeing? You as if it, right? So don't worry about trying to see, imagine. Just as you can imagine seeing your kitchen, seeing your refrigerator, or seeing your car, your favorite animal, your pet. This is the same way you see all the rest. We're just giving it a little bit of guidance, a little bit of an environment or a medium to express itself with the screen. Now, screening is a step towards moving a little bit more into an immersive experience of shamanic practice where we go into these inner worlds and you dive into the screen. Now, you certainly could do that. You can imagine, for instance, screening your kitchen and seeing your kitchen on the video screen in front of you. There's your table and chairs maybe, or your sink, the refrigerator. And then all of a sudden you can playfully imagine diving into the screen and getting the size of the kitchen and walking around the kitchen now, just like that. Boom. And there you are in your kitchen, touching your sink, turning on the faucet, opening the fridge. That level of playful engagement and ability and fluidity is exactly how it is in the inner world. The more you play, the more you create, the more you make a difference. It's a very wonderful way to approach this work. Sometimes I like to go fully immersive so I can go deep into experience and have a journey and go to learn something more than I already know. Other times I simply need to or want to get a very clean, somewhat dissociated view, in a sense that I'm not overly connected to it and overly involved in it, especially if it's a challenging subject that I'm trying to look into, something that is painful or dark. I can put the screen up and I can even put myself behind a one-way mirror that's reflected back at the screen. So I'm seeing the screen, but everything coming off the screen is reflecting from that two-way mirror back to the screen so it doesn't go into me. These are little tricks we use to keep from getting energetically globbed by whatever it is that we're looking into. And so screening is very useful. As you can see, you can size the screen. You can put it up to your left side. Now, in terms of neurolinguistic programming, if you put the screen up to the left, let's say you're screening, you're taking a test tomorrow, or you're doing a presentation, you would put that presentation on the screen and put it up to the left, because that's where we tend to look up and left to remember things. And if you want to put something into the future, you screen what you want into the future, maybe your future self, for instance, and then you put that screen up into your right visual field. And that will allow your natural tendency, as soon as you look up to the right when you're visualizing what your future is going to be like, now you've just placed in that field a beautiful image of your future self and a perfect state of being and a great guide to the future. So beyond just being able to screen, you'll find in this process as you go along in the training that there's many wonderful things we can do with the screening itself. The first thing is simply to get used to playing with the screen. And I would certainly say start off simple and start off with the easiest thing, which is yourself. You can put your cat or dog on the screen. You can put little meters to ask questions like, is my cat healthy on a 0 to 10 scale? Is it hungry? And you could play with that. It's important to reality test all of this, and in that a very real sense. The luxury that I have is working with clients. I get to see what is truth and what is not, or how it's true, rather. That's more importantly. How I experience what I'm seeing. Being able to see something on the screen is one thing, but being able to interpret it is an entirely different thing. And we always have to be careful that we're not over-interpreting, which is a big tendency as humans we have. It's a very centralized ego function, right? As soon as we see something, there's an onus on us to know exactly what that is and to be able to call it out. I guess survival depends on it or something. But it's not the wiser, sharper part of our nature. The smarter part of our nature is a part that sits back and drops out of that and says, I don't know. Let's see. I think I know what it is. My experience has been that generally that is, while there's truth to that immediate perception, the real truth comes in when I get out of my head, drop down in my heart into my belly, and spend a few minutes or more with what I'm experiencing on the screen. And it's like a koan. It just reveals new levels each minute. And you drop into it, and learn from it in a new way each moment. So even just having yourself on that screen in the beginning, you could see yourself on the screen in different relationships, or, call yourself up on your screen as you are when you're at work, or when you're at home studying, or when you're out in a social situation, whatever you're interested in. And notice how you perceive that. Notice how you see it. You're starting to learn to see how you see. And that is a very important part of this work. How do you see? Given this opportunity, this is just simply giving permission, saying it's not only okay, it's sort of required. What am I imagining myself at in these different situations? And take one at a time and just spend time with each one of them if you want. And at some point, you might even say, well, I think I get this. And as an empathic person would do, you might say then, well, let me see about transforming it. Let me come back into harmony first, heaven and earth bathing through me. And then let me bring that back on into harmony that I experience on the screen. And then, very important, what do I imagine seeing when it transforms? That's very important to follow through. What does it look like when things have changed? You see, you're giving your psyche the opportunity to do the recalibration, but now we need to give the conscious mind and the Unahapili, the basic self, which is watching very intently, we're giving it the new and improved version. So it appreciates the process, but like a child, it really needs to see the outcome itself. So by you focusing on how things have changed on the screen for the better, you're actually feeding the conscious mind and the unconscious mind of a higher vision of what could be. And this goes an amazing level into neurology and psychology and energetic healing. So I hope you enjoy the screening process, and we'll definitely be doing a lot more of it through the 7 weeks. And this is a great way to start with the fire because it's looking into future possibilities, right? This gives you a clean way to look ahead without being overwhelmed, and giving you a modern way of approaching a very ancient practice that we all engage in, which is giving our intuitive mind, our imaginal mind, the opportunity to teach us, to show us something that we cannot see just with a conscious, rational mind. Have a great day. Bye-bye.